everyone. This is Star Zenith 33, Laura Francesca Ramos, here talking on the podcast. And I wanted to talk about, now that I am back, sort of. I've been resting my voice for those that want to know where the heck I've been. And I've been, I've done some changes in social media. And I've been just healing my throat and so forth, my voice. But I'm jumping back in here a little bit slower because I'm still like, and I don't know if that has to do with the horse year. Okay, so that could be my voice being a little bit horsey. So anyway, let's jump in there and let's talk about very important topic on leadership, okay? And also diving into the Astroweather as well. So we're doing a two-part in here. So let's jump in there. Okay, thank you for listening to the podcast here. This is going to be episode 60. So, I'm trying to do as many episodes as I can, but I'm not trying to work like a horse, because this is what happens. I'll get a hoarse voice, I'm aligning only with the transits, and that's how I'm doing my work now, because I learned a new technique recently of, instead of working like a horse, like all the time, and putting so much content out there, which is what I did in the past. It doesn't mean that, you won't be seen. You actually will be seen, but you're just putting too much work out there. You're putting too much work out there, and a lot of it is not being seen. You think you're probably being seen, and you're probably not. And you got to work really hard to be seen and to stand out and so forth. And you got to be creative, of course. And I do have Pluto in my creativity house, so I can be very just any little thing that I do, it just kind of like is bigger than usual. And sometimes it could be a little bit dark. Not so dark, but Pluto is dark, so it could be a little bit sexy, I would say, where it catches people's attention, and there could be some obsession to that. So I got to be careful with that as well. I'm not like other people, that can go naked, and then they could get famous. And I'm not saying I won't, but I don't need the obsession, right? And other people can get away with it where they won't be so obsessed with them, but with me, it's like there would be obsession, okay? Because my fifth house of creativity is in Pluto. So I try to avoid that and not try to show so much skin, because, I'm not trying to pull people in to be obsessed over me. You know what I mean? Because I learned lessons in the past about that, and they get so obsessed, and not only that, I just recently found out the number 19, people that are born on the 19th, people get obsessed over us. Okay. It's an obsession number. And I think the reason is because, when you look at numerology, when you look at the 19, one is about leadership, which is what I'm going to be talking about. And it is about initiation. It is about pretty much leading the pack, okay? And so that's a one. It's a leader, right? And, a 9 has to do with luck. It has to do with just being at the right place at the right time. It's very Jupiterian, and you're perceived as being lucky, you're perceived as worldly, and in numerology, the 9 can be adaptation, so having to adapt to an environment. You could live in an environment and you would have to adapt to that environment, and you would have to be influenced by that environment. So you have no choice but to be like that environment. And that's why some people don't like a 9 number, because let's say that you go into an environment, it's not the best environment. Well, you're going to have to adapt to that environment and be like that environment, right? And so, unless you don't want to be like that environment, then you'll be like a one, right? Like you do your own thing. So that's why some people don't like the nine and so forth. But it's a lot of adapting to the environment of where you live. So nine is adaptation, and then one is also about taking action. But nine also is ruled by Jupiter, and one is ruled by Mars. So we're talking about like Jupiter Mars when it comes to 19, and there could be some obsession on that. You know, some obsession of how you take action. Like people get obsessed or they get competitive with you, or they see what you're doing and like, I could do it better. I get a lot of that. Oh my gosh, I get so much about it. Through sibling rivalry. It started with sibling rivalry, and then I noticed just more like millennials and stuff, because I have a youthful vibe of me. My soul is very youthful. Okay. And so they think that they can pretty much compete with me, and you know, fun competition is good, but then when it gets to the point that it's to steal what's yours, it's to steal your money, it's to steal your ideas, it's not fun anymore. Okay, because that could land you poor. Okay, that can take away what belongs to you, right? And so you got to just be aware of that. It's a very petty energy. um but that's what happens to 19s. They compete with them. As, I bet you I could get that, I bet you I could do it better, I bet you, whatever it is, right? It's very immature. So anyway, enough about me. I just want to talk a little bit about the numerology there. Let's talk about human design. For those that never heard of human design, it is a fascinating, I would say, a new way of something similar to astrology. We have astrology and astrocartography, which has to do with the maps, the mappings, which I love. And then there's human design, okay, and it has to do with your body, okay. It has to do with when we came here into this world, and how our body is designed, and how we attract the type of people that we attract, and based on our body, how it's designed, right? The frequency of our body, it's very different than other people's bodies. And so here, I'm in human design. I'm a manifester. So I tend to manifest things, and I tend to initiate things as well. Okay. And so that's what I learned about myself, and I'm still learning through it. Okay. But I'm just sharing it with everybody right now. So there's these specific gates that are in our body. So this is for the whole collective. Okay. But it's very important that you understand, because this is frequency. Okay. And this requires for us to align with that frequency according to this gate. There's a gate number 7. Okay. And it started on August 5th, 2026. Okay. And so the sun in human design has entered this gate 7. So this is very Leo energy. Okay. And this is the gate of the role of self in interaction leadership. So the gate 7 is located in the G center of your body, okay, where identity and direction is, and is associated with democratic leadership, guidance, and serving the collective rather than leading through control or force. Okay. So we're leading by the heart. Okay. So themes of gate 7, because the sun is Leo, it rules the heart. Okay. So leading by example, these are some of the things that we should be doing. Okay. These are just recommendations that you can start doing if you're not doing them. Guiding a community towards a shared vision. Recognizing the right leaders and knowing when to lead versus when to support. Collaboration, diplomacy, and stewardship. Asking, where are we going together right? Not where we are going alone. Where are we going together as a community, as a group, okay, as a team? So some of the shadow expressions on this, okay, is trying to control everyone else direction, okay? Becoming frustrated when your guidance isn't recognized. Power struggles over who should lead, right? So there could be power struggles within your community, within your group, your work area, with colleagues of who should lead, right? Or if you're not getting recognized, there could be some frustration there, okay, when it comes to your guidance. And there's many solutions that you can do. A lot of times is if there's this frustration where you're not being recognized, well, do something where you're going to be recognized. Do something that maybe other people are not doing. That's going to help you to stand out. And it's not, you should not even be asking who should be leading. You should just be taking action. That's it, you know. And eventually they will see that you're taking action, and that eventually, you know, in whatever you do, right? Now, the higher expression is when it's expressed well with this gate 7 that everybody's going through. It creates leaders who empower others rather than dominate. So it also unites, and all of a sudden, my neighbor's dogs are barking, right? Um, I already know when they're barking, it's like, oh, geez, I already know. I already know that frequency, okay? So anyway, let's let's hope they stop working. Um, we can and so when it's expressed well with this gate 7, it creates leaders who empower others rather than dominate. Okay, we don't want dominating leaders, you know. We want empowering leaders. Okay. We want to unite people around a common purpose. Okay. Make decisions that benefit the whole group. Okay, not just one person, but the entire group. Okay, how is it going to benefit everyone? Okay, um, so for me personally, I'm a manifester, so I naturally initiate. Okay, manifestors also we manifest things really fast. Okay, so we do have to think about what we say, and of course, you want to say good things so we can manifest, real things really fast. And so with this gate 7, it emphasizes me as a manifester and other manifestors that are in human design. Um, it emphasizes how we influence affects the directions of others. Okay. So it is a favorable time for me to share my vision, especially, like through astrology content, the Astroweather, the mappings, and now human design, while allowing people the freedom to decide whether to follow or not, right? All we can do is just put in the content out there. And like I said, I learned a new technique that I'm only going to be putting content out there when it's the more favorable aspects, because I don't want my work to be void, and just have like maybe like one or two person that just like heard when I did like a whole hour and I put so much work into it, or they could just be haters that, are hating on my work and are trying to block it or whatever they're trying to do, but that's not going to work. That's why you have to be in alignment with the best transits when it's favorable to put in the work. And that's what I'm doing now, also because of my throat, and I'm still trying to heal it. I'm still chugging on that olive oil. I actually chugged it right before I started talking right now. And I'm almost done with the bottle. My gosh. And, so that's what I'm doing. And, just trying to, conserve my voice and only putting content, not just like putting content like a machine, you know what I mean? Like I used to. Now I'm only using the most favorable ask, because that will burn you out. Okay, you will get burned out if you're doing like, like so much work, like every day, like that, working like a horse. For me personally, because of my human design, I'm not supposed to work hard. I wasn't born to work hard. I was born to work smart. You know, and I notice also that as I work hard, I lose more money. I don't know what it is. It's the frequency. And when I work less, I make more money. So it's like, money ends up here, money ends up there, and, deposits and whatnot, when you do work online and so forth. And, not a lot, but, it's more than usual when I do work hard. When I work like really hard, I'm always like, trying to put work out there. I don't need to do that anymore, by the way, because I think once you brand yourself, you don't need to work that hard anymore, And I've been branding myself for many years, and it became fascinating, And so once you become fascinating, you don't have to put so much work out there, because people already know who you are. Not everybody knows you. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a J Lo, you know what I mean? But I pretty much, people know who I am. A lot of people are following me. A lot of people are talking about me, and a lot of it has to do because I have a Jupiter in Aquarius right now, which is coming together with the North Node and Pluto. So, it's there's a lot of highlight on me, right now. And there are people talking about me, and I feel it too, but and I feel kind of like, sometimes I like to step back because I think it's just like too much, and I don't know. I don't do well with too many eyeballs like that. So basically here, for us, for the manifestors, so right now we have the ability to influence and leading other people in directions that are trustworthy, favorable times, to share our vision to others. So the human design gate 7 here is where God isn't asking who's in charge. He's asking who has a vision to lead. Okay. And this kind of reminds me of Moses from the Bible. For those that are Christian, those that are believers, and whether you're a believer or not, they even have like documentaries, and they have movies out there of Moses, and when the Red Sea was parted, right? And Moses, led the Israel people all the way almost through the parting of the Red Sea, but then he chicken shit, he was like, no, I can't do it. They're not listening to me. He was the appointed leader to lead, the Israelites, out of Egypt. And it looks like he was going to do it. I mean, he was a little bit afraid, but then he was getting frustrated because they were not listening to him, And the Israelis were doing a lot of mistakes, they were having orgy parties, and they were bowing down to statues and calves that looked like oxes, and that were made out of gold, and he couldn't stop them. They were rebels, and they were getting drunk, and all this, having affairs and all this. And, Moses couldn't stop them. They were too wild, and he didn't know how to stop them. And so he didn't believe that he had the capacity to lead the Israelites into manna, where there's milk and honey, where it's the promised land, right? And but he was the leader that was appointed by God, and God did get disappointed with him and said, I walked with you all this time. Now you don't want to do it. We're at the very last mile. It's kind of like running a marathon. You run the marathon. I ran a full marathon, and oh man, there's many times that I wanted to quit, but I just kept running and running and running. And everybody that knows that they've run a marathon, is like, you want to quit on the last mile, but you have to keep going, right? You have to get that medal. And it was, I guess God must have felt very disappointed in Moses. Say, I walked with you all the way. And that's what happens, towards the last mile, the last 10 minutes, I know because I used to work in the ports, okay? The most dangerous job in the world. And it was always the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes that something went down. And we were having a great night, and this always happened all the time. That's why they say, always be vigilant and always be working, always be watching your back and watching, the back of your partners and the people you work with in your group, right? But it's always the very last minute, that something happens, right? And it always happened. I'm always paying a lot of attention on well, not anymore, but when I used to work out there, the very last 10 minutes, I was very cautious, like, okay, I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to promote that there's, or not even promote, but I'm not trying to manifest that something dangerous could have happened, but it never failed. It was the last 10 minutes, right? And they say that too, when you're about to quit, all of a sudden the opportunity just happens, because they know you want to quit already. They know you want to leave already. Like, okay, just give her the position, or give her, the opportunity, or something, And I've heard those stories before too. I even heard that with Wonder Woman, with one, I think Gal Gadot. I think she was just like, that's it. I had a Hollywood. I'm gonna quit. I want to leave back to Israel. I think she's from Israel, and she's married. She has a married life and everything, and she came over here to be an actress, and but there was no work. There just was no work for her, And she said, "That's it. I'm tired of auditions. I'm just tired." And then she was gonna quit, and then all of a sudden, the Wonder Woman landed. The position landed, and they recommended her, and they said, maybe you should try for it, and she did go for it, and she got the part, right? But it was the very last minute that she said, that's it, I quit. I'm leaving out of here, like, I don't want to be in Hollywood no more, And then that big role landed for her that made her Wonder Woman, So it happens to everybody, And that's why I said, when I used to work at the ports, it was the last 10 minutes, and things that would happen would be like, all of a sudden it would start pouring rain, like at the very last 10 minutes, or it would be somebody messed up, like on a crane or something, and then they have to lift up some people up there they messed up something, and then they have to bring the people down, and then we have to, wait a little bit more longer. We're not going to leave at the time that we thought we were going to leave home because somebody screwed up, and now, we have to wait till everything's safe and everything. And or it would just be, we have to work overtime now, something else happened, and like, oh, now what, And so but you have to, you know and so everybody could be safe and everybody could go home or something, but those were like dangerous times, back in my past. But it was always the last 10 minutes, that something like that happens. So this reminds me here that where God isn't asking who's in charge, he's asking who has a vision to lead, right? So Moses didn't have the vision to lead. So what did he do? He appointed Aaron, right? So Aaron was much more younger. Aaron was brave. I think he was like very fiery. He said, I'll go, I'll lead the people, right? Because, well, first of all, Moses didn't believe in himself. Second of all, he was really old. He didn't have confidence, he was tired. And God said, okay, well, because you couldn't lead the people, you're going to stay here and you're going to look at the promised land from where you are. But you're not going to be able to go inside. Okay, so you'll just be able to see, this is where you missed. That's kind of messed up, though, right? Of trying so hard for many years and working with God, and then all of a sudden God tells you, this is what could have been yours. But you didn't go full throttle. You didn't go full in. You didn't go all in. So now you're going to stay here. You're just going to look at it. You're going to look at the land that could have been yours, right? And I know sometimes, it is biblical. Those are situations that happen, right? So you got to go, all in, and you got to commit yourself to what it is that you want, right? No matter how difficult it might seem, no matter how hard it might seem, always know that God is walking with you, right? God, like God was walking with Moses. So that is in Human Design Gate 7. is this is where God is asking. I don't care who's in charge. Okay, all I care is who has the vision to lead. And in the Bible days, it was Aaron. Okay, he wanted to lead. He was excited to lead. He was all fired up. So not all leaders are loud. Okay, not all leaders are loud. Not all leaders are fire. Or air. And so gate 7 reminds us that true leadership is all about direction, not domination. Okay? People do not want to get dominated. Okay? They want to go into a direction that they know where they're going to have results, that they know where they're going to be successful. They don't want to be dominated by anybody. Okay? I don't. And I try not to dominate anybody. If people feel that I'm trying to dominate, I'm not trying to dominate. I give advice, and I give direction. What I feel I'm trustworthy. Okay. And because I would not be directing anybody into dark paths, or because I don't walk the dark path. So I would not be leading anybody into a dark path. So, and because I believe in karma as well, and everything that you do, every action has a reaction. So eventually, someday, that karma is going to come and bite you in the ass. So it's better to be honest with people, and be honest with people so they can be honest with you. So that is what gate 7 is. Okay, it's about leading by example. So these are the energies right now with this gate 7 for the whole collective about leadership. What does leadership mean for you? Okay. When it comes to your community, your shared vision, groups, circles, friends, all of that. Okay. And it is ruled by Leo. Okay. So it is ruled the heart, right? Having the heart to lead, having the passion to lead, going together. Where are you going together in this new direction, this new vision that you want to have, right? And it's not about dominance, and not about control, it's not about all of that. And if there's a frustration with not being recognized, or a struggle with not being recognized, then do your own thing. Do something that people are going to stare. Do something that people are going to be like, oh, she's doing something different. And I say that because I tend to do that. Because I do have my Uranus in my 6th house of my local environment. So when I do something different, they look at it like, oh, and they want to do that as well. you know so if they're not recognizing you, recognize yourself, right? Because eventually they are going to recognize you. So it's about being a rebel, being a little bit rebellious. For me, I have to be rebellious. Okay, with Uranus. And I'm so excited because I'm gonna get me a dirt bike. It's like a bike. It kind of looks like a motorcycle, to tell you the truth. And there's a lot of millennials that are using these. There's a lot. I'm telling you, ever since Uranus entered Gemini, this bike phenomenon here. I mean, here in my city, but it's everywhere. Los Angeles, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know what other states, but here in my town, there's so many bike riders, and everybody's riding bikes. And I seen this cool bike yesterday, and it was one of the bikes that I wanted to buy, right? But instead of pink, it's all black. And it belonged to this young guy, and I seen him parking the bike right next to where we were. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, this is that bike. And I asked him, I was like, is this your bike? He's like, yeah. And he said, yeah. And I said, oh. And I said, cool. I want to get me one. And he's like, yeah, you should. They're fun bikes, And he said, I love my bike. And I was like, yeah. And it looked like really sturdy, and it looked really cool and everything. And it looked like a motorcycle. So I don't know. I just kind of I'm like getting that vibe of like being like a badass, like just I mean, if I had the money, I said I would love to buy me a Vespa, like those Vespa Italian motorcycles. They're so cool and so pretty. But they do cost money. I think some of them are like 5,000, 6,000, 10,000. So it just depends. And then plus here in California, you need to have a license, a motorcycle license, which I said, I don't care about that. They said it's simple. They said it's not hard. It's not hard. It's just a written exam. And and they give you the license, and then you go buy a Vespa. But um, I just said, I mean, but I think if I had the money, um, I don't care. I'll go take the test, But I'm just like, I just want to start off somewhere, and these bikes that they look like motorcycle, but they're e-bikes, they're electric bikes. They look so cool, like with the helmet and everything like that. It actually looks like a motorcycle. So I don't know. It's my latest thing right now with buying a bicycle that looks like a motorcycle, that looks like a dirt bike. And I think like a female driving one of that is very Aries, It's like very badass. And I already have everything. Like I'm starting kind of small because they're not that cheap either. Okay, so I'm gonna have to save some money to actually buy it. But I want to buy like the whole helmet, and then there's there's this cool helmet that I seen that has like neon lights. And so if you're driving it at night and you have the helmet on, in back of the helmet, you could change it according to your phone, right? Because it has Bluetooth. And you can put anything in the back, like stop, or you could put your name on it, or you could put pink or love or whatever you want to do. And it's very glittery, and you could see it from far. So it's good for precaution for people that can't see that if you're driving the bike or something. At least they could see your helmet with big old bright lights. So I thought that was pretty cool too. I'm like, oh, I want that helmet. So anyway, so that's my latest thing that I'm in right now. Um, with leading my vision, of being feeling free. Another thing too is because I'm also a 5 this year in my personal number. So 5 is about freedom. It's about bikes. It is about uh, adventure, expression, all of that. So very much aligned with who I am this year. This is why, like, I can't really stay home. I'm always like, trying to go somewhere, or just, sometimes I go on the Lime bikes. And it all started with the Lime bike because I was like, oh, these are so cool. I didn't think they were this cool. And that's how the whole dirt bike started. But I do want to, I mean, I want to be like female, like feminine, right? But I also want to be like very badass too. I have a lot of Aries this year as well. And I think that's what's going on. I have too much fire this year, according to my chart. And so I think that's why the whole bicycle thing is the e-bike that looks like a motorcycle is coming through of freedom and wanting to do something different. So that's coming up for me, Lord willing. And so it's for me, it's, having to lead in some kind of way or just feeling free. There's nothing like freedom, like just hopping in your bike and just going wherever you want. Well, not really. Well, depending, because it has a battery on it. So I think it only goes, I don't know. I think some of them go like 30 miles, 60 miles. It just depends. And then you have to charge the battery, and then put it back in there. But it's kind of cool. It's like a vehicle. So anyway, now I can go to the beach anytime I want, you know, and I no more buzz for me, and no more what is it? I don't know. I think just buzz. Or, I don't think I ever took Uber to go to the beach or nothing. But anyway, but that's the next thing for me, which I'm very excited. So now that I talked about the gate 7, okay, of recognition of the right leaders, okay, and knowing when to lead versus when to support, okay, is one of the things here that is very important, okay. there should be a lot of support right now. There should be a lot of collaboration right now with this gate 7 if you want to be aligned. Okay. And it is about serving the collective rather than leading through control or force. Okay, inspiring people. How are you inspiring your community? How are you inspiring your friends? How are you inspiring, you know, inspiration is the most wonderful thing you can have, because you can look at somebody that is just barely getting by, but yet they're inspiring people where they're taking action and they don't care what they're going through. They're like, I'm going to make this happen, you know? I'm not going to be down and out because whatever situation, you know? Optimism is the most thing that can get you through pain, can get you through sickness, can get you through, um, whatever situation you're going through, you know? And especially because it's gate 7 is ruled by Leo, ruled by the sun. Okay, it's a great time to get some sun in our bodies. It's a great time to be happy. It's a great time to, um, you know, be around children. It's a great time to have fun, explore, do something different, and that will get you the right people. You know, and that's what it's about right now. It's about love. It's about the heart, and what are you willing to do for your community? How are you able to stand out? How are you able to inspire others that, I may not have a lot, but look what I'm doing, and and that's where the energies where we're going, where it's not even about having so much. You could have a small budget, right? But you could be the most fascinating person. Or you could have a bunch of money, but then you don't stand out. You could have so, I seen I had posted about JLo that she was in Italy, right? And it was just so interesting that, because you've seen other, JLo has been to Italy, I don't know how many times, a lot of times, right? She loves going to Italy. And other times she's been to Italy, she's been probably to the fashion shows or anything like that, and she's always wearing like high heels and very overdressed, and Dior and Chanel and all this, right? But this last time that she was there, okay, she was in flip-flops and she had a cute dress on. It was like green with flowers, like very Italian, right? And she had a headband. It looked like very Italian on her head. Um, but when I looked at that picture, I was like, oh wow, she looks. She's not the usual high heels and tight dresses or something like that. Now she seemed very comfortable. Like just very casual. Very comfortable and not trying to stand out so much. So that's an example of, I can say, you could have like a small budget and you can stand out so much with what you're working with, or the people that do have a lot of money to invest, right? um they People will not be paying attention to them, because it's like, oh, it's the usual Dior, Chanel, whatever, you know what I mean? We're not into that no more, um but if it's somebody that has a lot of money and all of a sudden they're kind of dressing down, or um not dressing down, but not so much, the whole, diamonds and everything, you start to pay attention to, like, oh, you know, they're trying to fit in and just be normal now, you know, not trying to stand out with so much glitter and glam, And actually, to tell you the truth, when I seen that picture with her kids, she looked very rested, like she was not trying to prove anything. She was not, she was just there, you know, like with a cute dress, but, I mean, she had sandals on, or I think they were flip flops. They looked like flip flops. But she was more just trying to just be casual, you know, because I think that's what the energies that we are right now. It's not so much glitter and glam and all of that, it's more about, the people that you least expect that are like billionaires or millionaires are the ones that are not showy offy. You would not even know who's rich and who's not just based on how they dress. So, there's a lot of billionaires that don't look like billionaires. They just don't, you know. And they could just look like a regular Joe Schmo, and or they wear cowboy hats, or just you would never think, Um, so it's interesting, um, how now we perceive people to be, because Aquarius energy is very quirky, is very weird, is very um, creative, colorful, and that's where we are right now with the North Node, with Pluto in Aquarius as well. So, that was just an example that I seen there. But let's jump into the astro weather now, really quick here. Now that we know about the human design, gate 7 for the collective right now, this is what we're going through, okay? Let's jump in here. Let me just refresh here this chart. Okay, so the moon is in Taurus, is already about to wrap up. Okay, it's at 27 degrees, and it is the degree of communication, and it's doing really favorable aspects. Okay, it is making an opportunity with Mercury, so a great time for communication. Mercury got off retrograde there, and let me check here. Yes, it's at 26 degrees. The communication that we're doing right now with Cancer is at 26 degrees, and it has to do with money, okay? It has to do with banks and so forth. We're moving forward, it's no longer in retrograde. So it is making an opportunity with the moon, is getting along very well with the moon in Taurus, okay? And Taurus has to do with very Venetian, female beauty and so forth. And so does Mercury in Cancer also, has to do with beauty as well. It has to do with real estate. And where we have Mercury in Cancer, it's in the 6th house of service. So it's in our local community, okay, where there's communication about beauty, about real estate, about children, okay? We're doing a lot of communication about that. Also, the 6th house has to do pets, okay? So let's not forget our pets. Our pets are very beautiful, okay? And, I love my pet. I love my turtle. My turtle is in great health, and I pray that he continues to be in great health, and I take him out of his aquarium once in a while. I have not took him out for 2 days because I've been busy on other things, and I don't have time to be spending time with him right now. But I do feed him, and I do put toys on them so he could play. But and sometimes, if my dad's watching the TV, he watches TV with dad, and so he I don't think he understands the TV, but he likes to watch from his aquarium and just look inside the TV and so forth. One thing I did notice about him, though, is that he loves the mirror. So he's always looking at himself in the mirror, which is so weird. I think he's a Leo. I think my turtle is a Leo because he loves the attention. And if you don't give him attention, he'll want to bite you. And and he just loves attention of people. That's why when I take him out and they touch his little shell, or he just loves that they give him attention. So he gets pretty famous when I take him out, okay? All of a sudden, like, people are like, oh my god, a turtle, like they never seen a turtle before. It's so funny. Maybe they have not seen a turtle out there before. But turtles are fortunate, okay? They bring in money, they bring balance, okay? They bring balance. That's what I love. He brings balance. He does. Even though he's feisty, but he brings balance. So that's a good thing. So the moon right now, making opportunity with Mercury, we might be doing communication with our pets, in our community and so forth. I know today we're having like this, I think there's an art walk show that I'm not going to go, because I normally go almost every month sometimes, but I think they're having one tonight. where they have these two blocks full of art and then restaurants and so forth. It's, for me, is the usual. So, um, you know, so I said, just said, I'm just gonna jump in the podcast because I think it's important. I wanted to do this podcast because I think it's important that we know about human design and we know the energy. Okay, because when I had talked about another gate of the human design, I think it was about recognition. It was about I forgot what gate it was, but I podcast on it, and then all of a sudden, like I think Canelo Alvarez from Mexico, the boxer, he started getting recognized. I think Cristiano Ronaldo was getting recognized. I think he even went to the White House to go see Trump. So it was, a lot of people were getting recognized during that gate, and it's very limited time. The window, will close pretty soon, so it doesn't stay there for a long time. So that was a time for people getting recognized and putting themselves out there and so forth. I know that in my podcast it grew a little bit. I did see the algorithms that it under that gate it grew a little bit, so that was a good thing, right? And so now with gate seven, it's all about leadership. Okay. It's about becoming a leader, and it's not about a position. Screw the position, screw the title. Okay. It's who is taking action to lead the people, to lead them in the right direction and to have results in their business, to have results in their community. And so for this, what I'm doing is work. Okay. Even though it's still not monetized because I need more views. But eventually it will. I have great faith that the podcast is going to grow. It's going to blow up. And especially with my transits right now that are very powerful. Okay. I just need to consistently, do it, but I'm trying to use it with the best times to do it because, like I said, I learned this new technique in astrology and how I can use these transits, to get a better outcome, rather than wasting my time, wasting my voice, and just seeing if something hits. It's like TikTok. They say, oh, just do a video, just keep doing, and one day you'll hit. I don't have that kind of time, okay? Like, I'm not going to be working like a horse, doing video after video after video, and then one day you'll go viral. No, I'll go viral when I choose to go viral according to my technique. And so I don't go by algorithms, I go by alignments. And aligning with the stars, aligning with the planets, and that's how you can go viral. Okay. But I'm not using TikTok, by the way. I closed down my TikTok. I have X also closed temporarily. And I'm only using Instagram, Facebook, and I'm going to start doing YouTube. And of course, Podbean here. It's just some changes that I'm doing right now because a lot of like X is a lot of distraction for me, but it's very informational as well. And TikTok, there's too much drama with TikTok right now for me personally. Not with me, but with the collective, I feel. I'm not going to talk about that, but there's a lot of drama there, and I don't trust TikTok to tell the truth. So, you know, I'm just going to platforms that are aligned with me as well. So the Mercury also is making an opportunity with Venus. Okay, so that's a good thing. Venus is about love. It's about money. And there's an opportunity there. Okay, with communication, you might want to text someone. You might want to send a message to someone. You might want to communicate, or maybe you're hearing the podcast, and you enjoy hearing the podcast. You enjoy hearing my voice, even though it's still a little bit rough, but at least you're getting some sort of communication, right? Mercury, and I do have to say Venus is in Virgo. Okay, so it's not the best when it's in Virgo. Oh, is it in Virgo? No. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm glad I'm doing it right now, right? It just jumped into Libra. Okay, so just now, wow. Okay, so Venus just jumped in. So that's a good thing because when it was in Virgo, it was more about duties. It was more about work, like work. It was not so much about love. It was not so. It doesn't do well in Virgo, by the way. And so it was just more about just working all the time, no time for love, no time for flowers, no time for, it's more like take out the trash for me. I don't have time for this. Um, and that's why it doesn't do well there. But now it's going to do so well in Libra. Okay, it's in Libra, it's in its home there, and it just loves Libra there. It loves it in Libra and Taurus and Pisces. And so it's at 0 degrees right now. Okay. So let me here. I did say the moon is trining Venus right now. So because Venus is in Libra, it's going to be totally different than when it was in Virgo. Now it's going to be about beauty. It's going to be about dresses. It's so interesting because in Facebook, I started posting about Marilyn Monroe. And because I seen something on YouTube where they said that, she used to put beer or something like that, Budweiser, in her hair. And I was like, what? And those are some of her beauty hacks that she used to do, and back in her days. And, which I was like, God, so interesting. Because, sometimes I do beer baths. And that comes from Germany, like in German, that's what they do, to be blessed and abundant and so forth. And I gotta say, those beer baths, they feel really good. If you do plan on doing a beer bath, do dilute it though. Okay, don't just put the whole beer on the whole can on you. Dilute it with half water and half beer, and then pour it on you. And make sure you close your eyes. Okay, you don't want red eyes, but you can, it's so good. And after going more down the rabbit hole when it comes to beer, and Budweiser in particular, it it rules the crown chakra. Okay, so if you're not thinking well, or you feel too foggy, or you feel too dusty, or you getting everybody's energies and so forth, do yourself a Budweiser bath. Okay, and I'm not being promoted by them or nothing like that, but I just went down the rabbit hole of the frequency of Budweiser, and one of the other frequencies of other words that align with Budweiser, and was the crown. So it has to do with the crown chakra, is how we think. Okay, so if you start thinking like, oh, your thinking is, you're getting influenced by too many people, and it's not in a good way, take yourself a Budweiser bath, and just pour it on your head, and it'll clear out, anything that you need to clear. And it feels really good, I do have to say. I do it once in a while. But it's interesting that it had that Marilyn Monroe used to put it in her hair, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and because it rules the number 7 of intellects, and it has to do with Mercury, so it has to do with Virgos and Geminis, and Marilyn Monroe was a Gemini. So she was aligned with that Budweiser or whatever, if she used Budweiser in her hair or whatever it was. So anyway, and so Venus in Libra is about beauty hacks. It's about what are we doing to beautifying ourselves. They're probably going to be seeing a whole lot more products of beauty, anti-aging, makeup, all of that. I actually just recently bought me this stick. It's a pink stick, and it has like some kind of gel in it or something like that, and it plumps your face, and it makes it more youthful, right? And everybody's talking about it, right? Everybody's talking about it. It's called Medicube, and it's going viral, in TikTok. And so I happened to buy it, and I used it for the first time yesterday, and I was like, oh wow, it does plump my face. It did look, I didn't think it was like a big deal, but then after I looked at my face, I was like, it does look a little bit younger. And I went out yesterday, and I went to go shop somewhere, and this lady that was taking my money was like, hi, beautiful, but she seemed very sincere. It was a lady. She seemed very sincere. She seemed like just very friendly. She didn't tell that to everybody. Okay, there was other people there, other females too, and she didn't tell them that they were beautiful. And so I was thinking, I don't know, is it the Medicube? I don't know what it was, but I did feel, for the first time, just wearing it one time, for the first try, I did feel a little bit more younger. Like my skin was like, it looked more plump. Like, I don't know, just weird. So I'm gonna keep using it. It was only one day. But so people are gonna be paying attention more to your beauty. You're gonna probably start wearing dresses. Maybe you want to wear dresses. You want to wear high heels. Just want to look more pretty. Because Libra has to do with being pretty. And beauty and so forth, and intellect too. Don't forget. The moon is conjuncting Uranus, so it's a great time right now to jump into something innovative. Okay, do something innovative. Maybe be around people. Like over here, we're doing like this art show in downtown in the area that I live, and they're having like music. They have like music and bars open and restaurants and so forth. Um, so wherever it is, let me look at where Uranus is in Gemini, especially because it's in Gemini, it rules people. Um, Let me look at Gemini. Let me. Oh, there it goes. I was like, where is it? I need my glasses. Okay, so the moon conjuncting Gemini here, it's at 5 degrees. Okay, 5 degrees of Leo. So Uranus right now is very entertaining. It's very much about entertainment. It's about people. Okay, and it's in the fourth house. Okay, of where you belong. Therefore, it could be your home. It could be real estate. It could be ancestors, roots, lineage, all that properties, houses, um, all of that. There's something entertaining in your home or in your environment or somewhere around there that it's entertaining when it comes to people. Okay, um, and it's coming together with the moon. Okay, so that's very much of how you feel about putting yourself out there and being around where there's entertainment and music. 5 degrees is of Leo. It has to do with music. Okay, being around just people, music, socializing, all of that. Okay, taking a risk also. It's very risk taking. um Let me see what other transits. The moon is also trining Pluto. Okay. So we know Pluto's in Aquarius and it's still at the 4 degrees. Okay. It's in retrograde. So there's something controlling there. That's pretty much a control, law and order. It has to do with police and so forth. Um, so they're definitely, because the moon is coming together with Uranus, it could be a little bit wild, maybe people that are wild around events. But understand that the moon also is the moon also is I think it's that trine, right? Um yeah, it's making a trine with Pluto, so it's in harmony with the police as well. Okay, so whatever events you go to, there's going to be plenty of police, uh, plenty of security, and so forth. Okay, it's not getting along with the north node or the south node. I do have to say here. Okay, it's challenging the north node, and so it's not really good to travel like far off. There could be some blockages there, especially if you're drinking or something, or you're acting really wild. It can block your way. Um, the moon is trining Juno, so Juno has to do with marriages and partnerships. So that's a good thing that it's doing there. It has to do with partnerships, and where we have Juno is in Aquarius. Okay, um, which is coming together with Pluto. Okay, this could be like a power couple. This could be powerful people. Okay, people in power that are in partnerships, probably with police and higher ups and so forth. Okay, that is making a trine to the moon, how we feel right now. So that's what's going on with the astro weather. The latest thing that I can say is that the moon the Venus just jumped into Libra. Okay, totally game changer. Because now it's going to be more about like females and beauty and so forth. And it's going to get along right now. It's getting along very well with Pluto. So there's uh, a Venus trine Pluto right now. That's very powerful, right? Attracting powerful people if you're a female. connections, and so forth, so I'll be talking more on that on another podcast, but I just wanted to give you guys a little rundown of the Human Design 7, which has to do with being a leader, using your heart, being passionate, being compassionate with people, and leading with your heart. Okay. And the astrology here, the Astroweather, with the moon that's in Taurus right now, I'm glad it is separated from Chiron. Okay. So right now we're not feeling so much like hurt or anything like that. Right now we're feeling like we like motivated, right? We want to do something creative. We want to put ourselves out there, but yesterday there could have been a lot of people that were going through hurt or pain or something, as it came together with Chiron, because Chiron is what creates these um, pain points, that can come up that you have to deal with, right? And it's separated from Chiron already, okay? And it's coming together here with Uranus. It's more about, let's move into the future. Let's move into what do you want to do, or what do you want to do right now? You know, like screw Chiron, right? We're not going to talk about, that eventually you'll heal from. That will take a while, or whatever you have to do. But, with the moon and Uranus, let's think about something brand new. Let's think about what can we do? What new thing can we do? How can we get motivated, and so forth. And that's the energy that we're having right now. Okay. So I hope everybody is having a great day. It is a Thursday ruled by Jupiter. So it's a very lucky day. It's considered a lucky day. And so if you did like the podcast, do share, do subscribe, and tell your friends about the podcast, because I like to share energies that are happening weekly, pretty much like your weather channel, that you watch on TV. And I just tell you what the frequencies are like and how to align with it. And the human design is very important. Okay, this is very Leo energy, entertaining energy, passionate energy, compassionate energy, and having to lead as a leader, because Leos are leaders too. you know a lot of people see them as actors, and they can be, but it's not just acting, it's being a leader, doing the right thing for your community, right? Leading with passion, leading with purpose, right? And that's where we are right now. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Good day.